Hello. All right, I'm waiting for the live to reset like it normally does. There it goes. Okay, so hello again, just in case the first hello didn't come through. You get an extra three. Okay, so I want to offer something different today. So we're going to do something different today. As a heads up, I will probably end up crying through this one. The weight of our reality is kind of a lot. So bear with me as I need to take a few breaths to steady my voice or as I start crying. So, we're going to talk directly about the fear that many of us are carrying, the feeling of the ground shaking, the hypervigilance in public spaces. We're naming it here today because ignoring it hasn't made it go away. That being the volatility of the current climate in the US, the gun violence, the inflamed rhetoric, and all of the other madness going on in the world. This meditation is not going to be for everybody. This practice is not going to be for everybody. That's perfectly fine. Always prioritize your mental well being above all else. I'm offering this because these are tools I reach for. This isn't just theory. Meditation is my lifeline. And right now it's hard it's hard to talk about without feeling the weight of it, as I said earlier, and that's okay. So I want this to be I'm presenting this as more of a fire drill, an earthquake drill, a toolkit. And the reason I'm framing it that way is because we don't really balk at fire drill exercises, right? We don't balk at earthquake drills. It's seen as preparedness. And we also need a mental preparedness at this point in our current climate. Um, I put this together last week, just given the way things were going, and then I wrestled with whether or not to even put it out. So, that being said, I want to present this mental fire drill through three different lenses. They're all interconnected, but I feel like they are important as far as why I'm putting this out and how I came to the conclusion that putting it out is going to be beneficial. So, first is the microscope of our own experience. These meditations within what we're doing today, it's first aid for the nervous system. These meditations are going to address very real somatic terror that lives in our body. We may not be aware of it, we may not want to be aware of it. Unfortunately, that's only going to continue to accrue if we don't stop to acknowledge what's happening in our bodies, in our minds, in our emotions, within our spirit. The second lens that we're going to be looking through is the macroscope of our interconnectedness. When we do this work, when we sit with our bodies, when we look at how our emotions and our thoughts are impacting our bodies and vice versa, we aren't just calming ourselves, which in and of itself is amazing, not to downplay calming ourselves. We're actively building a community or communities that are resilient from the ground up, one regulated nervous system at a time. And that is vital right now. And then third, we're going to look through the kaleidoscope of perspective. So this practice is designed to create a profound shift from feeling like a potential victim, no hope, no real way to defend or protect yourself. And I want to shift to us remembering that we can be a responder in a healthy, centered, elevating way. It's about reclaiming a sense of capability amidst the chaos. So, these meditations might be too much. And I don't expect you to necessarily go through all of them with me here today. If you are more than welcome to, I'm not trying to discourage anyone staying with me the entire time. The goal of this is to offer these for you to either see which one speaks to you now, master that, come back and check the other ones, or to get a frame of reference for all of them to see which one speaks to you and have a frame of reference for the other so that if you need them, you have them in a moment of chaos. So the goal here is not to panic. It's not it's not to fearmonger, it's to prepare. Just like any other preparedness kit that we have, this is for our minds because we desperately need that. We're building a small toolkit for our minds today. That's the purpose, that's the foundational goal of this, and I really wish it wasn't needed. So again, take what you need. And please, this is for mental grounding. So always follow official safety protocols and prioritize your well-being. So if this is too much, this is a conversation you are not ready for. I get it. I get it. That's why it took me almost a week to go live with this. And I even sat for the last probably couple hours just warring with myself as to whether or not this is needed in light of recent events, the 4 mass shootings within 24 hours. I think this is pivotal. So, should you need this, it is available. And it's better to practice this when you're in a position of safety to really have your mind connect to these so that should you be in a situation like an active shooter situation, you have a mental space that you can step into that will help you from a place of calm. Okay. So these are distinct tools that can be practiced individually. You can also package them together as I'm going to today. So the first one we're going to start with is the 5-4-3-2-1 grounding drill. Now, this is a proven technique used in therapy and even by first responders to anchor the brain during panic. Okay, so these are legitimate legitimate responses. Okay, I am not just pulling these out of thin air. Okay, so let's go ahead and kick this off. So I'm going to do my best to maintain my voice here. Like I say, tears are probably going to end up coming through. If you hear me coughing, that's me trying to steady my voice. So bear with me here. So first up, I want you to identify 5 things that you can see in your immediate area. I'm going to list off, I got my laptop, I've got my phone, money out electronics, and yes, I do laugh when I feel incredibly tense, vulnerable. This is not meant to be dismissive, you guys. This is just my approach to allowing emotions to flow up freely and not shut them down. I use a laugh to help me facilitate. Okay, so coming back to the 5 things. I see my laptop, I see my phone, I see a book, I see a lamp, and I see a certificate. So those are going to list 4 things that you can feel or touch. Okay, so 4 things that I currently feel are, well, I've got my thumb bent into my palm, so I feel my skin. There's 1. The chair underneath me, that's 2. My feet are pressed up against my leggings in easy pose, so I can feel my leggings on my feet. That's 3. And I feel my shirt and my tank top. So there's 4. Okay. Now we're going to move into 3 things that you can hear. I currently have music playing in my ear. I'm listening to Lofi Girl, where it's just instrumental music. I was hoping it would ground me in this. So I've got my fan. Okay. And I really wanted to sit with that to see what else I could hear. So the purpose of this is not to rush through. So we may be going a little bit longer today. I don't want to rush through. I don't want to um, make this seem trivial. It isn't. These are legitimately life-saving meditations, practices that I feel we desperately need. So, um, three things. So we just did three things we can hear. Now we're going to do two things that you can smell. Two things you can smell. Okay, well, I smell laundry and then some kind of food, but it's like um dinner we cooked earlier, so it's really faint. It's kind of like an aroma of like several different dishes. Okay, and then one thing you can taste. Well, for me, it's fear because I am terrified of putting this out into the world. Not just putting it out into the world, but the fact that it's needed. Um, so I can feel kind of a metallic taste in my mouth. That's what I'm working with at the moment, but I'm still here with you putting it out there because my intuition is telling me that it's needed. And as much as I would rather ignore that, it rarely works out well when I ignore my intuition. So these practices, the 5 4 3 2 1, just to recap, the 5 things you can see, the 4 things you can feel, the 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and the 1 thing that you can taste. This pulls our awareness into our senses and away from the panic loop. So when things start to get bad, we need to bring our awareness into our senses to fully anchor us, to help us move forward in a way that is not stuck in a panic loop. Okay, so the second tool rather is the covert breath. It's also called the sniper's breath. I'm not super thrilled about that. I'm not endorsing military anything. I'm not so that if you've heard it by another name, if you've heard it say it's the sniper's breath, not the covert breath, you can instantly recognize it. Okay, so this is not meant to be a shout out to any one thing other than meditation. I will always stand by meditation. Okay, so this is for staying. It's about silence. Shallow breathing will lower the heart rate just enough to think clearly. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and slow it down here. And for this one, you can close your eyes or you can gently let your eyes unfocus. It's not the word I was searching for there, but we're going to go ahead and use that. And I want you to focus on breathing noiselessly. Focus on the sensation of the air in the nostrils. Okay, so it's the more shallow breath, and it will lower the heart rate. Now, if you're like me, shallow breathing tends to bring a feeling of constriction in my chest because there's some anxiety that flows up, right? It's the fear of not breathing enough, not getting enough air. It's not a thought, that's just the feeling that kind of comes from this. So we're going to spend a little bit of time here. So just bring your awareness to your breath. You want it to be as silent as you possibly can get it. And then just notice any sensations that come up as we're going through this. And it's shallow breathing. It will lower your heart rate. And you just want to get your breath as silent as possible. Relax your shoulders. Remember, we're in a safe space. That's why we're practicing it here. Okay. It's to build up this muscle. It's to build up this skill so that if we need it, we have it. And it's a mental skill that we need at this point as well, right? Along with the security measures and all of those things, following the safety protocols. Just notice the sensation of the air in the nostrils. And then we're just going to do a few more breaths here. It's hard to hear my breathing over the laptop. I'm not sure if I'm actually silent or not. Okay, we'll do 3 more rounds of this. And then again, just as quiet as you can get it, focus on the sensation of air in the nostrils. Last one. Okay. You go ahead and take a nice deep breath. Exhale through the mouth. Okay, so we're going to move into the third tool, which is the wide angle vision. So when we are in high stress or we have reached our max stress level, we get tunnel vision. So this practice is to help us soften our gaze to take in the whole periphery, reducing adrenaline and increasing awareness. Okay, so on this one, I want you to allow your focus to relax. Maybe you've done this while getting a foot massage or a full body massage. Maybe you've done this while in a hot tub or swimming. I want you to bring that relaxation to your focus and notice the edges of your vision without staring at any one thing. We're allowing our vision to expand, allowing the periphery to kind of come a little bit closer. No intent focus on any one thing. Just notice what happens as you're allowing your focus to relax. I can hear owls now. That's nice. And just a nice, relaxed focus here. You can move your eyes nice and gently, kind of get a different feel for the different things around you. Notice if there's a difference as far as when you soften more and you look to the right, is it easier to allow the periphery to come into focus? If you're looking straight ahead, is that easier? To the left, is that easier? And that way you can get a feel for allowing your vision to relax and taking in more of the area around you. And then notice, does that help, your body feel lighter? Do you notice more? Are you able to hear more sounds? So do your other senses feel heightened as you allow your focus to relax a bit? What else do you notice opening and expanding along with your periphery? Couple more breaths here. Play with this a little bit. Notice, like I say, do you feel more at ease? Do you Feel a little bit lighter? Do you feel more connected when you allow yourself to expand and open a little bit more to see the world around you, to allow your periphery to let in more? One more breath here. Yeah, it definitely feels harder to keep that elevation and expansion when I'm looking at electronics versus looking at the wall or anything else around me. So something else to keep, to look around and see, where it's easy to allow the expansion and where it's a little bit more challenging, and start with releasing the challenging and building up the easier areas and move from there. Okay, so now we're going to move to the fourth and final tool, which is a mantra for action. So mantra can be kind of thrown around just willy-nilly. So in this context, what we're referring to is a short internal phrase that can cut through fear, panic, or the noise of these emotions arising. So a couple of quick one use are see, breathe, move. Though that's straight and to the point, right? It's one word, it's going to keep you on point, helps you stay focused on these words. If you need something a little bit more, you can say something, I am here, I am aware, I can respond. For me, I use like a mantra from the Kundalini yoga tradition, such as Satnam or Waheguru. Satnam being truth is my essence, and Waheguru is liberation of darkness to light. Those are generally the ones that will kind of swirl up and around through me when I'm feeling afraid or scared or unanchored, depending on what's happening emotionally for me. So again, the longer ones are I am here, I am aware, I can respond, or see, breathe, move. Feel free to use these or make your own. Maybe you already have one that you work with. Go ahead and drop that in the comments if you think it would help someone else. That way, more people who know or have a mantra or however you want to label that, the more people that have that in a moment when they need it, that's just going to help more of us, right? It's going to help communities more broadly. So just coming back, because I just had the four that I wanted to put together. We have gone over. Now, long deep breathing you can do silently as well, but I wanted to offer a few that are less commonly talked about within meditation circles. I wanted to also offer ones that first responders used, people on the front lines, protesters use these types of anchoring meditations. So I wanted to make sure that I brought those different perspectives in as well to hopefully benefit anyone who needs it if you find yourself in a situation at a protest or an active shooter situation. Because of the volatility of the US at the moment, these are vital at this point for us to be able to mentally anchor and to mentally connect ourselves into the moment and without getting lost in panic and fear, which can be very easy to do. So that being said, you can practice these in a sequence or individually, whatever works best for you. I just wanted to make sure that I offered them as a package deal so that instead of having separate videos, you got it all right here. So you can always come back and go, what was the other one or what was the fourth one? And then it's all in one place. Traditional meditation here, which is metta or loving kindness. Now, I want this to be for all beings because excuse me, the fundamental problem here is that we are all caught in cycles of fear and violence, right? We may not be the perpetuator of the fear or the violence. We are all caught in these cycles. So I want us to be able to expand loving kindness out to not just those who are harmed, but those who are causing harm as well. I feel like it's important. And sorry, guys, give me just a second. The reality here for me is I'm I'm keeping my humanity. This is having loving kindness for everyone. This is for our own peace. This is not to excuse the violence. This is not to validate the violence. This is not to justify the violence. It's so that we hold on to our humanity in the face of the overwhelming inhumanity that we're seeing. So, sorry, I don't think the tears are gonna chill this time. I don't want to cough. I don't really want to push this away. I feel like this is part of the process and the reality of what we're going through. Um, it seems strange to me that I wouldn't cry given all of what we're seeing. Just not just in the US, but globally, there's a real disconnect, and there's a real push for us to lose our connection, our empathy, our compassion, and our humanity. And I refuse to do that. Um, so if my tears are going to help me stay connected to that, then I'm going to share that with you so that hopefully if you feel like you can't cry or you can't connect to that, then hopefully this will be something that helps you. So I'm just going to let it flow as it needs to. So coming back to metta or loving kindness, this practice is for finding a moment of choice within the chaos, right? Because there is a choice. We can choose to vilify, we can choose to continue the divide between us. That's not saying we don't hold people accountable. Accountability and revenge are not the same thing. They just aren't. We can hold someone accountable from a place of loving kindness. And I refuse to let that go. That to me is grounded in our shared humanity and compassion. So we do this drill now so we can access resilience when and if it's needed. And I sincerely hope that it is not. Okay, so I want you to think of someone that we're going to start easy. And I want you to think of someone that you've just had a disagreement with. Okay, so it's not really monumental necessarily. It's not earth shattering. It's, you can eventually get past it. Your sister said something rude that you didn't care for. Your brother stole your shoes. Something you're gonna start silly, okay? Because it's easier to build loving kindness from that place, right? So I want you to bring up, and I don't want you to tell stories, just bring up the disagreement that you had. And I want you to see one thing about it that either makes you laugh, makes you smile, makes you see that person as a person. Maybe they have a funny laugh. Maybe you know that they can't eat ramen. Maybe they're afraid of dogs. But I want you to see their humanness, one aspect of their humanness. And I want you to allow some loving kindness to come through. You didn't even like the shoes. You hadn't worn the shoes in a year. It's fine, right? Now we're going to expand that out a little bit farther to a stranger. Maybe they cut you off in traffic, they took too long ordering something, they were rude on a New York sidewalk and took up the entire sidewalk when everyone knows that you shouldn't do that when you're walking the New York streets, and it drove you nuts. Okay, now you need to pick that stranger that you felt slighted by, or you had a disagreement with. Again, nothing monumental. Okay, we're not diving into the story, we're just bringing up that moment. And I want you to see that person's humanity. I want you to see, maybe they looked rushed, then we can all relate to that. Maybe they had, I don't know, two different shoes on. Their shirt was untucked. Their hair was a mess. You overheard a part of the conversation that gives you pause. Maybe their parent was sick. Their sibling was hurt. Their child was ill. Right? I want you to think about that moment and find one piece of humanness, humanity within that, and allow that loving kindness to flow up to that connection of your fellow human looking disheveled or messy or chaotic like we all do, right? Now this one's meant to be just a little bit quicker. I wanted to kind of hit the highlights for this one. I do plan to do a more thorough loving kindness meditation on its own, but I wanted to make sure that I included this one here because I do think that this is an important closing aspect to tie this all together. Now, for the last one, I want you to expand it all the way out, and I want you to think about someone you completely disagree with. You don't you don't like for whatever reason. It's not really the point. The point here is not the reason, right? It's not the story. We're just bringing it all the way out to the people we completely disagree with, we don't understand, we don't feel we relate to. Okay, I want you to pull that one up. I've got a whole slew on my end as well. I'm just picking one. Okay, we're starting small here. I'm not taking on the whole world, just one. Now I want you to pull up that moment. And again, here, I know this is it can be challenging. Okay, get it. I've been really practicing this myself lately. And I want you to find one aspect of them that makes them human. Maybe they sneezed in the middle of doing whatever they were doing and they looked like an absolute adorable dork while sneezing. Maybe they dropped something and the way they bent down reminded you of a relative. Or maybe they mispronounced a word and you're like, I do that too. Is that the right way to pronounce that? No, it sounds wrong. Okay, but I want you to find one piece that shows you their humanity, that you can really acknowledge that humanity and allow that loving kindness to flow up. Again, this is not to validate harmful behavior. This is about reclaiming our connection to meta, to loving kindness, to to our own humanity, and reaffirming that we're not just going to sacrifice our own humanity, our own compassion, our own loving kindness because others are choosing to do so for whatever reason. Okay, this is our stand, this is our solid boundary of I'm not going to do it. I'm not. I'm not. That's not what is going to happen. Okay? I am going to continue to maintain my humanity, my compassion, my loving kindness, my empathy, and my regard for everybody. Even if I disagree with you, even if I don't like what you're doing, and I really think you should be held accountable for the horrific actions you're perpetrating against people, I still see your humanity because anything less is a sacrifice of my own. And I'm not doing that. So this is not excusing violence. Because when we give up our own humanity, we are perpetuating an internal violence. We are sacrificing our loving kindness, our metta, our compassion, which is an act of violence against ourselves in and of itself. So I wanted to also bring this in at the end to remind us that we are all suffering at the hands of these cycles of violence and fear and incitement. So we have a choice here. We have a very heavy choice here to make. Do we give up on each other, or do we keep trying to connect to compassion and humanity and push back on those who would have us divided? Okay, so I wanted to include the loving kindness because that can be the hardest one, especially for me lately. So I wanted to make sure to include the one I'm struggling with the most. So for everybody who showed up with me today, thank you for your courage in practicing with me. And I just want to I didn't say this at the beginning, I forgot to. I want to call out that grief is a spectrum, it's not a hierarchy. And everybody's feelings are valid here, right? We are all doing the very best with what we have. And some of us have more support systems, such as this one, than others do. So that's part of why it was important for me to go live, even though I felt petrified of doing that, even though I questioned whether or not I should be the teacher to do this or teacher, the guide to offer this. And ultimately, we all need all of us out here offering the support systems that work for us. And these are ones that work for me. These are ones that legitimately have helped me, legitimately have saved my life. So I'm offering them, and hopefully they help you as well if you need them. So I would like to end this in my quietly sobbing voice. I would just like to end with a moment of quiet solidarity with everybody around the world, humanity. Just want to send out some love and solidarity to, again, humanity, and remind us all that we are connected far more than we are divided. Okay, so now that I've got my tears somewhat calmer, I'm going to go ahead and say thank you again for joining me. I hope you found this helpful. If there's any meditations that you feel I missed, or if you feel that there are some that could be added to another toolkit to help in future, feel free to drop them in the comments. I'd be happy to put another one together. I hope you found this helpful. I hope that you do not find yourself in this situation. If you do, now you have tools to help you. So thank you again for joining me, and see you next time.